YouTube fans. This is Matt of Post April 6th YouTube channel. Well, I'm going to do another unfinished story idea, but what I will do before I actually read the story is eat a nice inexpensive meal. It is broccoli with roasted potatoes that I got through Smart Ones, inexpensive, low-calorie frozen foods. So stay tuned. Let me eat this first, then I'll do the story. Some good purified water. Yum, yum. Look at how yummy that is. Okay, so I have returned, and normally I would like to read from a printout that I made from my printer, and my printer works just fine, but it's very low on ink. And right now I'm in a financial it's more than a shoestring budget. I'm in really backed into a corner, and I'm on a, I don't like to use these type of words, but it's the only thing, I'm really on a tightrope. I really got to watch things very carefully. So, what this story is about, it's an unwritten story. It's about a man named Jonathan Wallace Fordham. And the story takes place in Seattle, Washington. Yes. And the story does not take place most recently. This story would be something that happened 11 years ago. February 18th, 2014. So, why don't I go ahead and start reading the story from my laptop computer. Tuesday, February 18th, 2014. Jonathan Wallace Fordham, or actually it's pronounced Fordham, had spent his second day on a 7-day trip to Seattle, Washington. He was staying at the GASLIGHT Inn on 15th Avenue, because I looked this up and I'm pretty sure that if it's not on 15th Avenue, it's near 15th Avenue in Seattle, Washington. And actually, I just discovered something else. He doesn't like to go by Jonathan. He likes to go by what most people like to go by, which is John, John. John was enjoying his first... Let me say that all over again, excuse me. John was enjoying his visit to Seattle. It was his first trip. Okay, so I stand corrected again. It was his first trip. Hold on, I need to step away and I need to clean up my glasses because they're like really filthy, and then I'll get back to reading the story. Okay, I've returned to anywhere in northwestern part of the United States in over 5 years. He rather liked the vacation. And environment of Seattle. Despite the fact he was 48 years old, and despite the fact he was in a popular major city that the late Jimi Hendrix was born in, also despite the fact Lane Staley, the former lead singer of Alice in Chains grunge rock band, he was found dead inside his plush condo from the self-destruction of severe narcotic abuse and the rather tragic condition he was found 2 weeks after the drug overdose. because let me get away from the story. What I just stated, it's a fact. It was his mother that had the police step in and do a welfare check. They picked the locks, or they got the keys from the management, and then when the police came in, they told her, they're like, it's going to be very unpleasant. You don't want to see this. But she went in anyway. Okay, so I'll get back to the story. His deceased body only weighed 86 pounds, and his appearance was probably looked like a highly pale, partially decomposed remains. Because that's true. He was in that bad a condition. I mean, he'd really been. He had a really. It's not just severe. He had a very severe addiction to heroin and narcotics. He was shooting up several times a day. He was lucky to live to be 34. I'm referring to Lane Staley. Okay, so I'll get back to the story. John, or Johnny, as he liked to be called, was a man who had deep faith in the Lord. He had deep faith in Christ, was what that meant. Every night after he had a small 4-ounce glass of brandy, before reading the New King James Bible, and then falling asleep, on this particular day in February, Johnny had lots of plans to visit many areas of Seattle, Washington, and Seattle metropolitan area, and to take a brief trip to Portland, Oregon as well. Then on February 25th, he will return to his townhome located in Westminster, or actually it's pronounced Westminster, Colorado, and resume his job as a financial planner for his now independent, licensed, and two-man show company entitled JWF Financial Planning, LLC. At 11 p.m., on this particular Tuesday, after he drank his snifter glass of brandy, read 4 different chapters of the Old Testament book of Proverbs, reading from chapter 6 through 10, because he was strictly focusing on chapter 6 through 10 of the book of Proverbs, Old Testament. He undressed out of his red, green, and black Hawaiian shirt, tan khaki slacks, and other attire, and placed upon himself off-white satin 2-piece pajama set, and turned off the lights and fell asleep on his queen-sized bed. At 12:17 a.m. on Wednesday, February 19th, the phone rings, and he answers on the second ring. And he rather sleepily says, "Hello?" And the unidentified caller begins to speak after a brief pause. "Hey, Johnny, what's going on?" Johnny frowns and says this, "Who are you? I don't recognize your voice or recall ever talking to you." The unidentified caller responds, "You and I know each other. We had a few drinks at Ginger Beer Joint on East Pine Street and 12th Avenue. And you danced with Sharonda, a beautiful African American lady. Johnny responds, I am here on vacation out of state. I never went to a place called Ginger Beer, so I have no clue what you were talking about. The unidentified caller responds, Come on! Johnny Hernandez? We've met before. Johnny responds, My name is not Johnny Hernandez. Yes, my name is Jonathan, but not Hernandez. But Hernandez is not my last name. Are you definitely talking to the wrong guy? The unidentified caller responds and sounds apologetic. Oh, I called the wrong guy. Now that I listen to your voice, you are no Hernandez. So, where's Johnny Hernandez inside Gaslight Inn? Johnny responds, I don't know. I would call the hotel back and ask the front desk representative. Look, I don't mean to be so rude, but I gotta get back to sleep. I have a lot of important things to do tomorrow, and I must be up and ready to go at 8 a.m., so I must get back to sleep. That's all I wrote in the story, in this story. And before I say any other dialogue or information concerning this story, I looked in the properties part of this word processing file. And the date that I wrote this story, as much as I've written that I've already said, was September 24th, 2019. Back then, that's when I was living at Gramercy Apartment Homes, and it was before I moved to Huntington, West Virginia for 18 months, as I've already talked about before. And then in July, right after 4th of July, I moved back here to where I am now, which is, they're about a mile apart at least. Yeah. Okay, so here's what happens. John goes to back to sleep. And the guy waits a couple of minutes and he calls back. And the front desk agent gets him through to Johnny Hernandez. But Johnny Hernandez don't want nothing to do with this guy. He's like, look, man, I can't hang out with you. No, I just can't. No, stop calling me. Click. He hangs up the phone. Yep. And then what happens is he is after about 10 a.m. the next day, this guy we'll call him Stevie Lynch. Stevie Lynch waits outside and waits for Johnny Hernandez because he wants to beat him up. Johnny Hernandez is clever because he looks out one of the side windows and he can see Stevie Lynch waiting out there. So what he does is he calls Seattle PD from a courtesy phone down in the lobby area of this place, and he and Seattle PD is looking for Stevie because he's in some really big trouble. He went to a restaurant, and as soon as he was done eating, he skipped out without paying for his bill. He skipped out the back way so he wouldn't be stopped. And the other thing that Stevie has done is he fills up his gas tank at a gas station, and he takes off really fast. And the third thing was he he successfully eluded police for speeding his car. Now the car that he was speeding in, he played it smart, but he still got caught. What he did, I'm referring to Stevie, is he laid low in a friend's house that was somewhere that would be over 30 miles away from Seattle. It would most likely be Tacoma, Washington. He probably has some connections out there. He stays out there, and he doesn't show up in his apartment, and he stays away from that area. And then he, at night, he dresses himself, and he changed his hair, and he shaved off any facial hair, and he's totally clean shaved, and he looks way different, and he dresses different, so the police don't catch him. And then when Johnny tells him that when Johnny Hernandez tells Stevie that he doesn't want anything to do with him and hangs up on him, he doesn't call back, but he gets really mad, and he starts thinking of a way to get even with him. And that's when Stevie makes a plan to wait out in front. But then he doesn't wait out there for like a really long period of time. He just waits for like a half hour, and then he goes away for a while, and then he comes back. And then he just, and what happens is how he gets arrested is the police park their car about a block before the area because they can see him. And then they come walking up to him. And they place him under arrest because the officer already knows, by his facial structure, who he really is. Yeah, he's in trouble, and he doesn't fight the police because he knows that if he fights them, that ain't going to do any good. And okay, so what happens is at 8 a.m., John Fordham leaves the hotel after he's had breakfast somewhere, probably a cafe that's like, about 2 blocks away at the most. and he gets on a special tour bus. It isn't a Greyhound, but it's a tour bus where he tours all over Seattle, and he goes to this place because this is where Lane Staley was originally born at, Kirkland, Washington. Yep. And the tour probably, I would say it probably costs at least $50 to do, to that he had to pay for it. He booked it online through his laptop before this day. And the tour probably was at least 8 hours to complete. And then he gets, and then John gets back to his hotel room, and I think this would be the type of hotel that would have a little kitchenette, and he has some TV dinners that he eats, and he reads the Bible. And he calls one of his men at the financial network that he's the leader of, and they talk for about at least 15-20 minutes about some things. And then on the next day after that, he goes to well, actually, what he does is he would go to the Space Needle, and then he takes a public bus to he would take a public bus to the Pike's Place area, and he just wanders around, just looks at everything that's there, and he goes to the Seattle Aquarium, and then on the third day he gets a it would probably be either Uber or Lyft. He would get a ride to Portland. And what he does in Portland is he goes to Powell's Books, because I bought several things from them. I've never been to Seattle, anywhere in Seattle. Never been there, never. But through online, going to Powell's the website for Powell's Books, there's a ton of books to look at, new, used, and all different types of genres. And there's all types of items you can buy that would be accessories or other impulse items that an avid book reader would like to own. And I think they also sell some T-shirts and some coffee mugs and a lot of neat stuff. And he would also have several meals where he can eat some stuff that, you know, the way they make it tastes much better than what he's used to in Westminster. It's different menu items that really taste good. And he gets back to Gaslight or Gas. Yeah, Gaslight Inn. Probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock. He reads the Bible for a bit, and then he goes to sleep and he crashes because he is tired. And the other thing that he does is he takes I think there would be a company in Seattle that would do that. He takes a cruise on that part of the Pacific, of that part of the bay. I think that's near Seattle or the Pacific Ocean. And he gets to see a lot of stuff. And I mean a lot. And on the 5th day, I think what he does is he starts going to a lot of museums that would be near there. The Art Museum and some other places. And on the 6th day, he tours the areas that would be near where he is staying. And on the 7th day, I think what he does is he just watches some television because he'd had enough. And then he leaves he checks out at Gaslight Inn. He gets to, I think they call it SeaTac Airport. Yeah, it is called SeaTac. And he takes the flight back to DIA. Yep. And the main point of the story is when Stevie Lynch thinks he's going to get away with something, he don't get away with it. He thinks with the way he changed his looks and the way he would wait outside and all this and he wouldn't be standing there, with a blunt instrument, that he's going to get away with it. He don't get away with it because Johnny Hernandez is watching his back for him. He just knows that this guy's gonna really take it hard, and he's gonna try to get it. He's gonna try to violently assault him or worse, kill him. Is what Johnny Hernandez is worried about. And Johnny Hernandez handled it the right way. He immediately called the police, and he waited inside the hotel until he saw that guy get arrested. Yeah. Yeah, Stevie Nicks does, and I'm not kidding, a year and a half in state prison, in Washington State Prison. That's what he got for pulling what he did, and waiting out there with intent to commit aggravated assault or worse. Yep. Well, it's time for me to go now. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this great story. I hope you found it interesting. And goodbye.